So here we are at the idea table, and it makes me remember a part of the podcast and the book where you say transformation, it's dead. We're not using that word anymore. Tell me why transformation is dead.
Well, the idea of transformation, I think, with companies had, which is I'm at a place that I don't like, point A, and I'm going to get to a place that I like, point B, via transformation, and then everything will be good. But it turns out that life doesn't work that way, because by the time I get there, the innovation frontier has moved on. And so actually, companies have to grasp the idea of continual reinvention through a continual series of pivots to keep evolving different parts of their business with innovation as it goes. And that's how you build long-term success.
So we're looking here at some of the technology that is disrupting every business in the world, really. We have what I call the alphabet soup. It's 5G, AR, VR, AI. I can barely keep track of all of these things. How are you helping your businesses grapple with this kind of technology?
So at Accenture, we built something called our innovation architecture. And it's this idea that, no one company can be ahead on everything. It's impossible. So actually, you need to work with a large ecosystem of partners, big and small. And our way of engaging with that large group of companies outside Accenture is through our innovation architecture, which is a series of physical facilities like this one, where we connect our client work with startups, with big digital titans, with technology vendors, and try and understand where's innovation at and how could we apply it for real in companies solving problems that they need to solve for their customers today. And that's how we stay close to where innovation is.
And Will, you wouldn't think that all of this sort of technology would necessarily have an impact in the entertainment industry, but it actually is impacting many parts of it. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, the disruption already happened in the music industry, and we did a good job coping with it and staying, creative and adopting new technologies like streaming, whether it's Spotify or Apple Music. So it's on its way to be healthy again. But what I've done as an entrepreneur, moving away from just an entertainer, is start a company that is focused on, conversational voice artificial intelligence, meaning the ability for a person to talk to a machine or, software in a normal way, right? Not through keywords where we now talk robotic, just natural language. And we've done a really good job building that.
And what do you think that's going to look like in 10 years? Can you say?
Well, we're all going to have something in 10 years that we have pieces of now. Right? I have my phone. We all keep our phone in our pocket, but my phone doesn't know me. We give our data away, and data is currency. And we're not educated. When I say we, my mom, my next door neighbor, your next door neighbor, people, we're not educated just how powerful data is and what data is and how it could benefit you if you were to keep it. And I think a lot of those businesses that are going to exist 10 years from now are going to come at it AI for humanity, AI for communities where people will have their own personal AI, their own personal operating system for medical, for entertainment, for productivity, for business, not just accessing some company's OS and giving your data away for a free service. I think that was yesterday, today, that's not tomorrow.
You're optimistic about the future of AI and what it's going to do for us.
I'd rather take an optimistic point of view than, a worried, pessimistic, because it's going to block my creativity. It's going to block how I work with our engineers on what to build.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to build it.
Might as well be you.
Or attempt to build.
Yeah. And Omar, I know you're really passionate about 5G. Why is that the thing that sparks your creativity?
I think people are underestimating the seismic change that 5G will bring. It's not the same as going from 3G to 4G and just faster networks and downloading videos. 5G has the potential to fundamentally change how we all interact, how we come together, how we solve medical problems, how to help doctors be more successful during surgeries, fundamentally change transportation. Autonomous vehicles are enabled by 5G, how to completely change the fan experience in a football stadium from what it was yesterday. So I think the potential of new solutions, new ways of living, new ways of working is unlocked by 5G.
So one of the problems this always brings up is what do we do with our current workforce that maybe isn't on the forefront of this or has jobs that will be irrelevant or obsolete in the next few years? What should we do about reskilling the workforce?
You not only you have to reskill the workforce that we currently have that's going to face, massive turmoil when one product is released, right? We're all training the autonomous vehicle right now. If you just bought a new car that has, self-driving mode, you're training that fully autonomous vehicle that's going to be deployed, that can stop at red lights, turn corners, do all the things. You summons it, it comes pick you up. We're training that vehicle now, but when that vehicle comes, truck drivers lose jobs, Uber drivers lose jobs. And so yes, you have to reskill folks, but then you also have to prepare and protect the 7-year-old right now. Right, so yes, reskilling is an important conversation, but so is funding our school systems. Because or else we're just gonna reskill and we're gonna ignore a big chunk of folk that are gonna be the builders of tomorrow. The jobs that are gonna come are not the folks that you're reskilling, it's gonna be the folks that you're preparing. But we're not talking about preparing the youth. We're not coughing up money to make sure our schools are competing with the investment of AI and autonomous vehicles. That's the problem. Right? If we're going to spend $1 trillion on AI, then bring the $1 trillion on my little niece and her friends.
I'm going to pile on to what Will said. So one of the things I like about 5G and augmented reality is the education system can be revamped utterly.
Yep.
The way we all grew up with education today, exams were designed in the 1800s. That is the model we all live with. Mm-hmm. And we know that that's not all students learn that way, and not all students operate at the same pace and so on. So more personalized AR-driven experience for students with something like 5G could fundamentally change education to help Will's 7-year-old that he's referring to.
Yeah, well, as the mother of a 7-year-old, I am all for teaching them to be more creative and preparing them for the jobs that they don't even know that are going to exist so far. That's
Absolutely.
great.
And on the skills point, though, you're right. We believe at Accenture that every company has an obligation to think very hard about skills of its people. The old logic, the old arrangement between employer and employee, which is, I don't need you anymore, you can leave and I'm going to go and hire someone else. We think that has broken down, if only because actually everyone needs machine learning and data science skills. So those people that you think you're going to go and get are not even there. So, we invest almost $1 billion a year in reskilling our people. It works for us. When I look at examples like AT&T, where they have this concept that says, look, network engineering is increasingly becoming software. Software changes, so therefore every 4 years you need to requalify. The company's obligation is to make learning extremely available and easy to access for its people. But the employee's obligation is to take it and to requalify. And that compact, which I think is a shift from where we've been in the past, is probably something we'll see over and over with big companies, taking ownership for the reskilling of their people.
And what makes you so excited about the reskilling? Are these people that we're going to reskill going to come up with the technology advances and it just keeps feeding on itself? Is that what the future we're looking at?
I think every company has a license to operate from society that's sometimes explicit and sometimes often is implicit. And so the era of the famous CEO being on the front cover of Fortune magazine because they cut costs or fired 10,000 people, I think we're long past that era. And companies often are based around societies, and customers are attracted to companies that have a mission, a sense of purpose. And you can only get that if your people, your employees, feel that. So if the company invests in its people, the probability of that sense of purpose is much stronger, and therefore their ability to serve customers better is much stronger. So that's why I think that's the right way to go.
Basically that old axiom that culture eats strategy for breakfast.
I'm a believer of that, yeah.
Yeah, and we live in a world where companies are verbs. The ones that are succeeding, that impact and change, they're verbs in society. And I've never seen a Twitter commercial. I just use Twitter as a verb. We rarely see Google, up until they started making products. You never saw a Google commercial. You just use them as a
Until
verb.
they got into the hardware business.
Yeah,
right.
so they got into the
Exactly.
hardware business. I didn't see Google commercials because we use them as verbs in society.
Uber.
Uber,
Yeah.
I see them now, that Lyft, but
Yeah,
still,
but
we
it's still a
Uber
verb,
them,
yeah.
right? It's a verb in society. And with with ads on screens being less and less, companies have to do more in society. Salesforce is, and with Mark's leadership, is proof that, the 1% program that he started, the work that he does here in San Francisco, stepping out, being vocal about, social change and pushing other entrepreneurs to do the same. You're going to see a lot more Mark Zuckerbergs. You're going to see a lot more Mark Benioffs in the future.
Right.
Right?
Well, now we're on the threshold of the Accenture Innovation Hub right now. Let's go see some of this innovation in action, should we?
Perfect.
All right, let's go.